As Boeing continues to find its footing following years of uncontrolled plummeting, Airbus is planning what experts and analysts in the aviation industry claim could be the killer blow to the American aircraft manufacturer. It has emerged that Airbus is busy planning the development of a new aircraft known as the Airbus A390, poised to compete with both the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and the Boeing 77X. This news has shocked the aviation industry, as Airbus already has an aircraft that is causing Boeing sleepless nights, the Airbus A350. With the A390 in the picture, Airbus could revolutionize the commercial aviation industry in unprecedented ways, and in the process, push Boeing into total oblivion. So what is the Airbus A390 all about? And what does its development mean for Boeing and the commercial aviation industry? Stay tuned. To understand why Airbus is considering developing the Airbus A390, we need to examine the main factor behind this decision. Surprisingly, this reason is connected to another Airbus aircraft, the Airbus A380. When Airbus developed this king of the skies, its intention was to have the aircraft serve a very specific niche, that of long-haul, high-density routes. However, in doing that, Airbus mistakenly limited the aircraft significantly, as it was practically unfeasible for many airlines that could not manage to fill it to profitable levels. Also, its sheer size meant that it could only serve 144 airports globally, seriously limiting the ability of airlines to plan flights and manage route networks efficiently. Not to forget the inefficient engines that powered the aircraft, which resulted in astronomical running costs. Another thing is that the A380 came into the market when the industry was shifting from the hub-to-hub operational model to a point-to-point model. For an airliner that was developed with the older operational model in mind, it quickly found itself falling out of favor and snubbed by airlines. Put simply, with the A380, Airbus misjudged a lot of factors in the market. And due to that, the Super Jumbo ended up being a costly program that never lived up to expectations. As the story goes, Airbus would finally make the painful decision of scrapping the A380 program in 2019 after it became evident that the industry was now favoring smaller and more fuel and cost-efficient wide-body airliners. However, what many people did not realize is that with the end of the A380 program, Airbus's competitiveness in the long-haul wide-body niche declined substantially. The reason for this? You see, Airbus's biggest adversary in the market, Boeing, has two aircraft types in this niche, the Boeing 787-9 and -10, as well as the Boeing 77, which is set to receive a major boost once the 777X enters commercial service in 2026. On the other hand, Airbus has only one aircraft type that it can rely on to compete with the 787 and the 777 in this niche, and that is the A350. Needless to say, it was a matter of time before the European aircraft manufacturer announced plans to develop a new aircraft that would help to enhance its competitiveness in this niche by providing airlines and customers with a newer and more efficient alternative. And that is where the Airbus A390 comes in. When news of the potential development of the A390 came out, many people were quick to mention that Airbus might go an extra mile and add one more deck, bringing the total number of decks to 3. However, experts and analysts were quick to dismiss these claims. They stated that adding one more deck would amount to amplifying the size problem that made the A380 unpopular. Also, adding another deck would make the aircraft so heavy, and this would translate to a need for more engines, and with more engines, more fuel would be needed. All these would make the entire program collapse even before seeing the light of day. Now it turns out that Airbus actually learned its lesson with the A380 and has designed the A390 in a way that aligns with the industry demands. First, it is official that it will feature a single deck, just like the ordinary long-haul wide-body jetliners. Also, it will have a seating capacity of about 450 to 470 passengers, subject to cabin configuration by airlines. With this capacity, it is set to outperform its closest Boeing competitor, the 777X, which has a capacity of between 395 and 426 passengers depending on the variant. Also, it is reported that the aircraft will have a range of up to 11,580 miles. This means that airlines that take ownership of the A390 could start offering direct flights between faraway major cities such as New York, Sydney, London, Auckland, Hong Kong, Sao Paulo, and Chicago, Cape Town, among others. This range also outdoes the 777X, rated at 8,383 miles for the bigger 777-9 variant and 10,046 miles for the smaller 77-8 variant. Moreover, the size of the A390 will be in the category of other wide-body airliners in the market, meaning that it will have the flexibility of landing and taking off in normal airports. With that, airlines that take ownership of this aircraft will be guaranteed greater agility when it comes to flight planning and route management. Looking at the engine aspect, there are reports that Airbus is already in talks with the British aircraft engine manufacturer Rolls-Royce, as it explores the likelihood of selecting the UltraFan as the engine to power the A390. Primarily, the UltraFan is a new high-bypass geared turbofan engine demonstrator that Rolls-Royce has been developing for the last 1 decade now. According to the company, the UltraFan is expected to be up to 25% more fuel efficient than its predecessors, meaning that it will help airlines to save on fuel costs and at the same time promote sustainability in aviation. Experts have argued that the two companies could build on the success they have attained together with the Trent XWB on the A350 type and forge another collaboration in the A390. Now, it is also possible that we could see Airbus debuting its ZEROe hydrogen-powered engine on the A390. This engine is part of a program by the aircraft manufacturer to promote sustainability in commercial aviation. In this program, Airbus aims to use hydrogen fuel cells to power an electric propulsion system. The system will then transform the hydrogen into electricity through a chemical reaction, thus providing a power source for the aircraft. Suppose Airbus is successful in incorporating this engine technology into the A390, then we could be set to see a significant revolution in the industry, one that might throw Boeing out of the competition entirely. Among the most critical aspects of aircraft manufacturing that currently determine the success rate of an aircraft are the materials used in the development of the airframe and the wings. To understand this, we just need to look at one of the reasons why the Airbus A350 has performed so well in the market compared to the 787. You see, the A350 is made up of 53% composites, while the 787 contains only 50% of these composites. The thing is, by using more composite materials, aircraft can be made lighter, which means they burn less fuel and cost less to operate. In fact, composites can cut a plane's weight by up to 50% compared to older materials. To add on to that, composites allow for sleeker and more aerodynamic designs that reduce drag and boost fuel savings even more. That could explain why the A350 tends to be more cost-effective in the long run and why airlines prefer it to the 787. Now, back to the A390. It is expected that Airbus will capitalize on the use of advanced composites such as carbon fiber reinforced plastics. These composites have been hailed for their high strength-to-weight ratio and therefore could help to reduce the weight of the aircraft and bolster its fuel efficiency to levels that make economic sense for airlines. There are reports that Airbus could be exploring how to incorporate carbon fiber reinforced plastics in the mainframe with a new wing design that it has been working on for a few years now. The new wing is expected to have a number of wing configurations that will adapt to flight conditions dynamically. According to the engineering team tasked with the development of this wing design, the new wing will feature innovative active control technologies and physical changes. It will also have gust sensors on the front that will record changes in turbulence, thus prompting alterations to the control surfaces of the wing. It is evident that Airbus will burn the midnight oil to ensure that the new wing design is ready for commercial use as soon as possible. With that, the A390 is seen as the most convenient aircraft to feature this design. The allure of increased fuel savings due to this wing design will only go further to make airlines scramble for the new airliner, further pushing Boeing out into the cold. Airbus is promising a host of other perks that further position the A390 in a class of its own. For instance, the aircraft will feature a wider cabin that promises more seating space and enhanced comfort levels. This will definitely come in handy during those long-haul flights. Other incentives include enhanced air quality and customizable cabin lighting to help elicit a relaxing mood during travel. After looking at what the A390 will feature, let us now move on to a bigger question: is the commercial aviation industry really ready for the A390? To answer that question, we need to look at three key factors: money, demand for air travel, and customer demand. Let us start with the money factor. Here we can look at aspects such as the unit cost of the aircraft and the anticipated operational costs. In terms of the unit cost, Airbus has remained tight-lipped on the price range of the new aircraft. However, it is possible to approximate how much airlines will have to part with to acquire a brand new A390. To do that, we just need to look at the unit cost of the A350-1000, which is the largest variant of the two. Airbus has listed this aircraft at $366.5 million. Now, since the A390 is expected to be larger and feature more advanced materials, avionics, and have a better cabin, it is obvious that its unit cost will be relatively higher. So it is logical to approximate that Airbus will list it at about $400 million. However, it is also important to keep in mind that airlines usually don't pay the full list price for an aircraft. Instead, they negotiate with manufacturers to get a better deal. This means the A390 will likely be sold to airlines at a lower price than the official listed cost of $400 million. In fact, this will even be lesser than the list price of the Boeing 777X, which is quoted at $442.2 million. So, would airlines be ready to spend such an amount of money on such an aircraft? Clearly, many airlines will readily part with such an amount of money for an airliner as good as the A390. With just a few tens of dollars more, airlines will have an aircraft that can deliver more than the A350-1000 in terms of capacity, range, and fuel efficiency. On the other hand, it is more affordable than the 777X, making it an even better alternative for airlines that do not have the financial muscle to purchase the 777X. Another money aspect that we can look at to determine whether the industry is ready for the A390 is the anticipated operational costs. Here, airlines will have to look at aspects such as fuel consumption. With the A390 poised to be at least 25% more fuel efficient, there's no denying that many airlines would want it in their fleets, as they will be guaranteed of significant cost savings. Other operational costs that will determine whether the A390 is successful in the industry include those associated with airport and navigation fees. Since the A390 will be the size of the ordinary wide-body airliner, airlines will not have to spend more on landing fees, gate rentals, and other airport services. Also, airlines will have to be convinced that the maintenance and repair cost will not be astronomical, as was the case with the A380. More importantly, if Airbus designs the A390 in such a way that pilots who already fly the A350 can easily transition to it, airlines will not have to spend a fortune on extra training on this type. This would save them a lot of time and money, since pilot training is usually a costly affair. In fact, the need for minimal training is considered to be among the major reasons why airlines fell in love with one of the other aircraft in Airbus's lineup, the Airbus A320neo. When the aircraft manufacturer was developing this aircraft, it confirmed that pilots upgrading from the A320 to the new aircraft did not need costly and extensive simulator training. Instead, with just minimal training, they would be well versed with the new aircraft. The guarantee of minimal training costs made many airlines decide to purchase the A320. If Airbus can pull off the same approach with the A390, it will have nailed it and the aircraft will be a huge success in the market. The second factor that helps to determine whether the industry is ready for the A390 is demand for air travel. According to data from the International Air Transport Association, international air passenger demand in the first half of 2024 grew by 12.3% compared to the same period in 2023. Also, it is official that the industry is now operating at almost 100% of the pre-pandemic levels. Future projections have also shown that the industry will continue to grow in the coming years, with this growth estimated to be about 4.3% per annum over the next 20 years. Also, the commercial aviation industries of some countries such as China and India are experiencing exponential growth as more people graduate to the middle class, meaning that they can now afford air tickets. As more people in these countries move to the middle class, airlines will need more aircraft to cater to the increasing demand. And that is where the A390 comes in. With its capacity, this aircraft will be better positioned to help airlines in these countries and around the world to meet the soaring demand for air travel. This means that airlines such as Air India, China Southern, Cathay Pacific, and Emirates, among others, would benefit greatly by purchasing this aircraft at such a revolutionary period in the commercial aviation industry. The final factor that we can look at in our quest to determine whether the industry is really ready for the A390 is customer demand. As the industry evolves, customer demands keep changing. This means that the aircraft manufacturer that offers an aircraft that suits the changing demands is poised to attain a significant competitive edge over its rivals. In this case, we need to look at aspects such as the need for an aircraft that aligns with the change from hub to point to point. Airlines no longer plan their flights along major hubs. Instead, they prefer to use smaller airports where fees are not as high. Also, using the point-to-point model has proven to be advantageous to passengers, as it means that they do not have to have long layovers in major hubs as they wait for their connecting flights. So, airlines are more than ready to purchase aircraft that can help them to attain this objective. The A390 is well suited for the point-to-point operational model, making it a potential darling of airlines. Considering all these factors, it is evident that the industry is indeed ready for the A390. This aircraft ticks all the right boxes the airlines look at when purchasing an aircraft, from unit cost to demand projections and customer demand. With it, Airbus might just have attained an unassailable lead in the market. So what does the launch of the A390 mean for Boeing? The development of the A390 is a move that Boeing cannot respond to at the moment. This is because it is currently dealing with a lot of issues, so much so that developing a new aircraft as a response to the A390 is out of the question. First, there is the elephant in the room, the delayed Trip 7X. The Trip 7X program is now over 5 years late. Boeing's failure to deliver this aircraft has left many airlines frustrated, as they had made their long-term plans with the Trip 7X in mind. In fact, some airlines such as Cathay Pacific and Emirates have resorted to expensive retrofits, at least to revamp their aging wide-body airliners that were initially said to be replaced by the Trip 7X. In addition to that, Boeing is also grappling with the delayed certification of the Boeing 737 MAX 7 and 10 aircraft. At the same time, the aircraft manufacturer is under increased pressure from regulators and the larger industry to mend its broken culture and adopt one that prioritizes the safety and overall quality of aircraft. As such, the only thing that Boeing has to do is to put its house in order and get the Trip 7X ready for commercial flights as soon as possible. Once it does this, it can then work on the certification of the MAX 7 and 10 narrow-body airliners. Only then will it be in a position to think about developing a new aircraft to enhance its competitiveness and put Airbus on check. For now, Airbus will continue enjoying the lead while Boeing plays catch-up. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and we will see you soon.